Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 5 of Who Does This Belong To? I'm in Seattle now. I'm on the lake, which is amazing. There's some guys working over there, so maybe I'll go out by the water tomorrow. But I wanted to, I'm in a super vulnerable place today. A lot of stuff kind of coming up for me, and I wanted to, there's a whole bunch of things I want to talk about, so let's see how we weave it all together. So the first thing that's really on the top for me is the topic of vulnerability and dealing with people, and when we lower our barriers, what's there basically. And so first of all, I don't know that I've said this directly. We've kind of talked about this, but Who Does This Belong To is definitely a tool that takes your barriers down. And interesting point of view as well. I mean, in a way, they kind of all do when you're getting to more of you. And that can be very confronting, exposing, uncomfortable, and that's definitely where I'm at today. And we ask for things, and then they show up in ways that we don't always, like ways that we wouldn't necessarily choose, and then it is what you do with it that then determines, kind of how much you can receive. I talked about that yesterday of like, all kinds of things go on in our lives, and if we can receive all of it as a contribution, and be in the curiosity of what gift it is, then there's so much that becomes available. And and I think the thing for me of like is sort of like not like really being on the journey. And never really needing to like tie everything up in a tidy bow. Because some people were asking about, what do you do with when you ask who does this belong to, and you get the awareness, and then it's kind of like, what's next? What do you do? Like someone was saying they want to do something with what they're perceiving. And someone was also asking about like, do you keep asking that question? Like, when do you know to ask it? And I would say, like, stay out of your mind as much as possible. And when you get to the space of you, there are moments where that can be incredibly awe-inspiring and amazing and phenomenal. And then there are moments where that can be so confronting and so exposing. And you feel like you're standing in front of the entire world naked. And they're seeing every little, everything. And we erect barriers by having points of view and by taking on all the energies that aren't ours, basically autonomy. We erect barriers to protect us, to keep us from being exposed. And so one of the things that makes this tool really valuable is, and I mean, it makes it really effective is, and any tool I would say, is the practice of getting vulnerable and lowering your own barriers. And it's something that I've kind of just taught myself to do. It's something that I demand of me that I choose. And especially when I'm uncomfortable, when I want to put up barriers, I make myself push them down. And that can be just even like a visceral, like bodily experience of like, I'm going to push my barriers down now. And literally like physically feeling that sense of the barriers melting in my world. And from there, you don't, like, once you get to the space of vulnerability and you recognize that it's going to be uncomfortable, that's part of the nature of the things we're not willing to expose, is when they are exposed, it is uncomfortable. And I've been in that space this morning and being like, okay, well, just this is where the tools are like amazing, because it's like, okay, well, interesting point of view. I have this point of view, and who does all of this belong to? Like, I became aware of a lot of people's judgments of me, and I was going into the wrongness of me, and then I went, oh, that's not mine. I'm actually perceiving other people making me wrong, and it's not actually true for me. And that is like, takes a lot of courage to get to that, and I'm still working with it. It's not like I'm done, I'm perfect, but it's just this constant sense of like, okay, I'm really aware of a lot of judgments of me right now, and I can just be present with it. And so this is kind of an example of like, you get to who does this belong to? So it's like all these judgments I'm aware of, who does it all belong to? All the judgments I'm doing of me, are they mine? No, they're not actually. Okay, cool. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect. It doesn't mean there aren't things for me to look at. It just means, oh, there's a lot of people judging me. Okay, cool. Can I expose me to me right now? And this is where, like, so what's the next step? So there's all these things that you're aware of. And then what do? You get present. You lower your barriers. You be interesting point of view. You continue to ask if it's yours, if that's going to contribute. But it's from the space of knowing that there's a tool that you can use to create more energetic space for yourself. It's not from a head trippy place of like, well, who does this belong to, because that's a mental masturbation. And that's something that we, it's just another form of a barrier. It's using the tool against you rather than going, okay, barriers down, vulnerability. I'm willing to look at whatever I need to look at here. And I'm also willing to not have to tie it all up in a perfect little package. And I'm also willing to receive the judgments that I am aware of. And I'm also willing to not buy them as mine. And what else? What else is possible? What's the gift of this? What's the contribution of this? What's the, like, is this the change I've been asking for? Oh, hell yes. Cool. Showing up in a way I would never have asked for. Yep, that's okay. I know I have the tools to navigate anything. When you have the tools of access and you use them, you have the tools to navigate anything. And they are the most elegant tools that I have ever come across for fast, easeful, and energetic navigating of the stuff that shows up in our world. And if you use them and you're willing to get uncomfortable and you're willing to get vulnerable, they work. If you're willing to be exposed, if you're willing to lose everybody and everything, if you're willing to let go of all the definitions of you that you keep in place with everything that you buy as yours, the tools work so fast and so elegantly, and they put us into, like, we get to have more of us. And to me, that's what this is about. Like, the greatest, if I was going to talk about, I was like, gosh, we're on day 5. I wanted to talk about bodies and money and business. But I'm talking about all of that right now, because the more you have access to you as a being beyond the autonomy, beyond the separation, into the communion, into the space of you, into the allowance, honoring, gratitude, vulnerability, and trust that is you. Those are the 5 elements of intimacy. The more we have access to that, and we're just willing to be present, lower our barriers, ask questions, that is the keys to the kingdom in every area of life and beyond. So how do you become more powerful and beautiful and effective as a parent? You do that, with your body, with business, with money, all of those things. It's like you get to you more, and then you get to have you more, and then you are more effective, more dynamic, more present, more powerful as the being of you. And then your body changes, and your money changes, and your business changes. And some of the stuff that's going on for me today is definitely there's a sense for me of how much this is about, it's really everything. It's giving me access to me in so many ways, and how much my business will change from this. My money flows will change. My body will change, all of it. And, sometimes I even find it a little boring to rattle through all of the different areas of life because it's sort of not, it's not really about that. But these are the areas in which we're asking for change, and why a lot of people start to seek change is because, things aren't working in certain areas or whatever. But make it way bigger than that if you can. Make it about the future that you're creating as a being, and the sense of, just the sense of ease, joy, and glory, being the space from which you function in every area of your life. And the vulnerability with you is such a key piece, because if you don't choose it, you don't prioritize it, and you have to prioritize it in the moments where you really fucking don't want to, and you really want to have barriers, and you watch your mind and you just go, you know what? That's autonomy, and I'm not doing that. I had to go through that this morning. I was doing a lot of, it was trying to go into story, reason, justification, defense, reaction. And I was like, no, that's not what I would that's not how I would like to live. No matter what happens with all the people around me, that's not how I desire to live for me. That's not how I desire to show up for me. That's not the future that I desire to create, and it's not the planet I want to live on. The only person I have control over with all of that is me. And it's this is kind of the positive control, where you just go, no, I'm going to fucking get vulnerable here, and I'm going to get uncomfortable here. So I hope this is a contribution to you. It's been a really big gift for me so far, and there will be more, I know. When we can, again, if you want to know more about different areas of life, it's just listen to all of these videos again and apply it to everything. Because with business, you work with people, there's going to be stuff coming up, and there's also so many people's points of view about how business is done and how it has to be done, and money and bodies, and it's just you know what? None of it is yours. And so what is true for you? And go into the space of exploring that. And that's where we bring in the incredible tool of asking questions and making choices. And that's the generative space that you can get to when you recognize that things aren't yours. And you don't have to bother yourself with that. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to busy yourself with it. You can go forth with new questions, bigger questions, different questions, bigger choices, different choices that you weren't willing to make before. That's the space from which we create and generate completely different realities in every areas of our life, every area of our lives. And that to me is really what this is all about. So I hope that was a contribution. I'll see you tomorrow for more.